How's it going, guys? G5 Cosmos here for Game 5 Smash, and welcome to episode 3 of Weekly Review, where each week I give away a free video game analysis. If you'd like a chance to win one of these yourself, all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel here, follow at Game 5 Smash on Twitter, and like and retweet the latest giveaway tweet. And you can also purchase one of my affordable coaching options shown here. Alright, so this week's winner is Vantablack. He is a Link player, and he's actually sent me a Link ditto here that we see between himself and MoralAtheist, who is actually a really cool guy who I have coached in the past as well. So we're going to be getting right into this. We have Vantablack, who is playing the regular default light blue Link. He's starting on the right-hand side, and we have MoralAtheist, who is the other Link, the darker colored Link. So we're going to get right into it now. Alright, so one of the common things that I talk about in a lot of situations, which is, it's not necessarily like people are doing something wrong, it's just something to always point out. I actually made a video about this a while back that I'll link in the card. If you start the game by staying in the corner, because, you know, you always start a game of Smash in the corner. That's where you spawn in the beginning of the game, both players on either side of the stage. When you start in the corner, you let your opponent have an opportunity to take free stage control. Now, sometimes there are benefits to being in the corner. For example, Link can pull out a bomb. Some other characters can charge their meters, their, flood and whatnot. But you have to consider, is that worth giving your opponent the stage control? Because just like we see in this situation right here, Atheist, in this situation he has Projectile, so it's not exactly the same concept of stage control, but he first throws a boomerang, which Vantablack gets hit by. And now, as you'll see here, he's staying in the corner, and now Atheist is the one who takes the stage and basically starts the game pressuring Vantablack in the corner. So that's something you really want to consider. It doesn't mean you have to just run at your opponent in the beginning of the game, but if your opponent is staying in the corner, then you definitely have an opportunity to take the stage. And even if your opponent also runs in, you can run in just so that it pressures them a little bit, so that they don't get to force you, like I said, into the corner just from the beginning of the game for no reason. It's basically like you're giving up part of neutral that you don't necessarily have to by doing that. Another thing that we're going to see, which is a kind of a recurring theme right here, even just going from the beginning, as you'll see how this boomerang here is colliding after Vantablack pulls out the bomb, is the strength of projectiles in general, or I should say one of the strengths and benefits of using projectiles, is that you can establish traps and, put pressure, basically put hitboxes near your opponent at a distance where you are out of range of everything your opponent can do. Throwing a boomerang, throwing a bomb, or whatever, is your opponent's nowhere near you, so in typical situations, they can't hurt you. That's something good about a projectile. But when you're fighting projectiles against other projectile characters, especially like in a Link Ditto here, then you find yourself in a position where it's no longer so safe to pull out a projectile because your opponent also has projectiles, so they can be hitting you with that. So in these kind of matchups, you have to be a lot more careful and precise as to when and how you pull out your projectiles and when you go for plays like that, because you're always at the risk of getting hit by something yourself. And projectile moves tend to have a bit of startup. That's, part of the benefit of how they can be used at such long distance, because your opponent is usually too far away to hit you if you're using them properly. So in this matchup, that's a big deal that we'll be focusing on. Okay, and we just see he jumps a little bit too early here. I think as he parried it, he actually may not have jumped. He may have gone for like a tilt or whatever, but sometimes parrying doesn't make everything safe, because he only parries the bomb and then he's still just right there to get caught by the nair. And yeah, so here, dropping shield too early. What we see a lot from Vantablack in this game is that he makes decisions too early, going for more reads and not reacting to opportunities that Atheist gives him, as well as a few other things like playing close quarters. A lot of times we'll see he goes for up B out of shield in positions where he can't really find it. So like right here, he goes for an up B. I'm pretty sure that's what we see the startup of. I'm pretty sure it is. And also, like, things like this that he should really be looking out for is, a lot of times he'll jump in with the goal of perhaps finding like a falling forward air or finding like an aerial that he wants to land with. But he'll swing the aerial regardless of whether the opportunity presents itself. This is a very easy habit to get into, especially if you play characters like Ike or Wolf, where, they're always looking for like falling this, falling that. You can kind of just be running at your opponent and just go for the aerial, even if the opponent, rolls out of the way or gets out of the way, and you can react to that. You want to really be, keeping your finger on the trigger of that aerial that you want to hit or that button that you want to hit, but only savoring it for when you actually have the opportunity. You can see like right here, even when you're landing, like he throws out this fair, it doesn't have that much lag, so he doesn't get punished for it. But there's no reason for him to do that. Like he's not being threatened, so it's just kind of like an autopilot fair to throw out as he's landing. See, like in this situation, I want to see what he does as well. Because after he lands with this nair here, the nair is like the weak hit, so he should be shielding here or like rolling out of the way or whatever. Like I think, because I want to say he may jump. Also, the boomerang is coming right back. I'm not sure whose boomerang that is at the time. Yeah, whatever he goes for here, like this is a situation where he needs to respect the just sheer amount of things going on and the amount of hitboxes. Definitely, like I said, in close quarters, he needs to shield a lot more. As for this, there could be a better punish, but it's not a big deal. I mean, you know, he wasn't expecting the up B. He still found a punish that was pretty good, so. Yeah, stuff like this nair also, not really much purpose to this. I want to see again. So he throws the boomerang, and then he just puts up the nair. I guess it's kind of like a jump read to catch him jumping in, but he's doing this a lot, where he's just kind of like throwing out a nair or throwing out a fair, like hoping things are going to work. In situations when you're like ledge trapping, this stuff can work, because then you have the opportunity to like retreat, and then if that doesn't hit your opponent, they can just get up and be out of harm's way or whatever. But he's doing a lot of whiffs that are kind of purposeless or just trying to cover spaces. Also, stuff like this is a bit of a magnet land. Like he's drifting in here. Look at this, like he jumps in and then he sees the boomerang, and this is kind of just like he doesn't really know what to do here at this point, and he just goes for an air dodge, like a directional air dodge around. Which we'll see a bit more of as well. At this point, you know, if he's going to be landing here, he has an opportunity to throw out a hitbox. Like, he can potentially throw the boomerang down. Let's look again from where he is. Like, at this point, I think he could just even keep drifting in and go for like a down air, but he fast falls and then does a directional air dodge, which does get him out of the situation. Again, what I was talking about with the uppy out of shield, this one's clearly not able to hit. Like, if he did it after the first nair, maybe. I'm not sure how safe nair is on uppy out of shield. For plays like this, same thing as we were talking about before. He drops in and then he's like scared, so he goes for the directional air dodge, but neutral air dodge, so much better here. You guys remember that. If you haven't seen the video on how to land, it talks about that a lot. If you're in a situation where you don't really like need to mix up your position extremely well to avoid getting hit, and there's not like a platform right conveniently near you, there's really no reason to directional air dodge, because it's just a it's not actually slower in frame data, but it's basically slower in terms of the animation. Slower and laggier version of neutral air dodge. So neutral air dodge really, really good for these kind of situations. Even so, though, like when he's in this position on this platform here, like he just jumps there, he just puts himself in a bad spot that he can retreat and get out of the way and react to what Atheist is going for instead. Same thing with the projectile too. Like sometimes you might want to wait to see if Atheist throws the projectile first and then deal with it better, because this is the concept, like both of them throwing it, getting hit. So sometimes whoever throws it first will win the situation, or you could wait for somebody to throw it and then you know, take advantage of it. Want to see a little bit more backwards movement here. When you're trapping people, pretty much any time when you have full stage control and the other person's trapped in the corner, you want to be going for undershoot plays, more sort of retreating plays. As a general like rule, I mean, there are exceptions and ways that the situation will be different, but for example here, like your opponent, they want to get back to the center of the stage. They're not going to be pulling back most of the time. I mean, better players will, because that's this, you know, microspacing, blah blah blah, but like in other words, right here, like Atheist is of course going to jump to the left here, so if you're in Vantablack's position here, you want to be pulling back with whatever, you know, jump you do to position yourself to sort of, you know, put corner pressure on right here. He actually gets footstooled for it. Same thing with like with this fair, like he's going for too many guessy plays, like, and with the, if he reacts to the arrow, there's also no way that this fair could even connect, because you know, Atheist is still on the ground just throwing the arrow. Let me see this forward tilt again. So he definitely wants to be like reacting and going for a lot more with punishes in general, but also just finding his hits. Like if you want to go for a move, that's fine. I mean, you know, you should really be looking for whatever move is perfect for the situation. But even if it's like, I really want to hit a forward tilt here, I really want to hit a fair here, you want to find an opportunity to hit that. You want to jump in and see, okay, my opponent's shielding here, so I can space a fair safely. Or my opponent's like drifting down and landing, I can retreat and forward tilt here, which we'll see Vantablack does well in a later moment in this game. You don't want to be just kind of like guessing and hoping a move hits. Yeah, so like this one's much better because if you look at when he decides to throw out this forward air, he sees that Atheist is like right here. So this is covering the space right in front of him where Atheist is. It makes a lot more sense to go for it in a situation like this. But what I'm saying from Vantablack is I think he needs to do a much better job of distinguishing when he's in situations like that and when he's in situations where there's really no reason to go for the aerial, and it's completely different. That would have been an up B. That was a great opportunity to up B. Reacting to get up attack can be tricky on shield sometimes. But he goes for a still safe, and then he winds up going for the up B. But I think even in this situation, he just reacted too late. Like, this nair was done rising. Like, he had, if you look at how long he took. In fact, he may have drop shield an up beat here. Let me see something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm not sure if the frames were like, if this was actually 30 FPS. I'm not sure if this is just the startup of up B, but I feel like this would be the startup. I don't know. But yeah, this was just definitely the kind of situation where I'm not sure if I've said this in one of these videos yet, but I say this very often in my coaching sessions. If you see an opportunity to do something, you're like, okay, this is the punish for that. Like, there you see it's like, okay, I can up B him. But you realize that you're too late, you need to stop yourself. Because by the time that you realize that you were late and you could have done something, 99% of the time you've missed your chance and it's now too late. And in those situations, it's almost always a bad idea to go for what you were going to go for. You have to, recollect yourself, see how the situation changed, and see what you can go for now, just like in that situation. Okay, like right there, he waited, he found it, reacted perfectly. Both of them taking each other's first stocks with up Bs. And interestingly, from what I've seen of this matchup, is it seems like the player who's going in and doing the pressuring is actually getting more rewarded for it. It seems like the camping is not paying off too much for either of them, but it seems like Link does a good job of pressuring himself. Like, Atheist gets in, Vantablack gets in right here very well. After he pushes him off stage, it's the same thing we saw before, where he keeps pushing forward, and he's not accounting for either the double jump or just generally a play where Atheist can move back and want to take this stage. This is a position where you want to be jumping back if you're in Vantablack's position, not continuing forward. If the other person has no double jump, that's a different story, but that's something you want to keep in mind. But even if he didn't have a double jump, he's still like quite far above, and like even a fair here, or the nair that he goes for, probably wouldn't have connected based on where he was if he had kept drifting back. And at this point, then he also kind of panics, it's not really a panic, but more so he's like, oh, he jumped, I still want to hit him. And at this point, he jumps back. But this is a very dangerous position because Atheist has the opportunity to act first and could put just any hitbox here. And then Vantablack would be hit off stage with no jump. So this could be a very risky situation. But Atheist doesn't quite go for the right play there. Oh, I remember this. This bomb, it like the hitbox of the bomb hits him, and then the explosion was too much later, so it doesn't actually collide with him. Let me see this again, make sure I'm looking at the right link. Okay. Yeah, so this is something that I haven't noticed some of the worst situations where it happens yet, but Vantablack also has a habit of jumping near people, which with a rising aerial can be good, but it goes back to what I talked about in the zero spacing video, where if you're near somebody, you want to get out of that close quarter situation most of the time, and jumping, especially looking for like a falling aerial without like a hitbox to defend yourself on the way up, is very risky because anything your opponent throws out will just hit you. So a lot of times if you're jumping, you want to jump from a distance towards your opponent rather than jumping when you're already next to your opponent trying to hit them. You want to get away from them first, that way you can put yourself in the air at a safe distance, or from a safe distance away. Again, kind of like with the up B, like his shield didn't even get hit. I mean, this could have worked. It could have covered the roll, but with a lot of up B out of shields in this game, players have a tendency to just get so used to pressing them like anytime someone's near them. Whereas, I mean, sometimes they can work out. Cloud, Game & Watch, their up Bs are pretty hard to punish, and you might not get punished or hard punished every time you throw it out if it doesn't connect. But even in those situations, if you have an up B out of shield, you want to see your shield get hit, and then you up B. That's pretty much how it works. Bowser, same thing. Otherwise, it's just a big risk, and there's no really reason to use it. The whole point of the up B out of shield is as an out of shield punish. You don't have to go for it. Here's again the same thing we're talking about with like the fair. kind of jumps down here, and he just throws out the fair. I mean, this fair is not as bad as some of the other ones, because if Atheist like was to run towards him, this would work. But I think even in this position, Atheist is still in the cooldown from the boomerang, so it's not like he could have done too much with this. And then another jump here. This is a situation where he should be waiting. Like, he jumps here, and then, like, you see Atheist in the air. Like, wait for him to go for a play or whatever. You can up tilt him from the ground. You can dash back to catch him going somewhere. I definitely just need to see a lot more, want to see a lot more waiting from Vantablack, and, like, let himself find these opportunities instead of just trying to, like, swing where he sees Atheist is, you know, generally going, or just going for Wreath and stuff. Here also, there's a big dead spot below this arrow. Like, if you look, like, let's see, is my mouse on? No, you can't see my mouse, but like, you can see what I'm talking about, like to the left right here, where Vantablack can just kind of land and shield an arrow and then run forward, or roll to the left underneath one of them and catch a good opportunity to just be right, you know, out of this pressure pretty easily. But for some reason, he keeps trying to, like, go over them, which is definitely not what he should be looking for here. He finally finds what I'm talking about right here and goes underneath, and reveals that this was actually not the best play from Atheist to go for, because now Atheist puts himself in the air and loses stage control. Yeah, this is the kind of jump I'm talking about right here. So his shield gets hit by something, and then he immediately goes for a jump. And look how close he is actually. Well, Atheist is going for a boomerang toss here, I think. I mean, a bomb toss? Let me see this again. The point is, you can get hit very easily for jumping like this. Your opponent throws out any hitbox. Oh, he threw an arrow. Okay, I think he probably went for a fair or a nair there, but didn't realize he had an arrow in his hand. Atheist I'm talking about. But yeah, then that's even more lucky on Vantablack's position. You jump like this without a hitbox especially. Somebody does an up tilt, somebody does a nair, somebody does a rising fair or whatever. All these things will clip you for jumping in this position. So what Vantablack can do a lot more of, which I talked about in the when to roll video, is roll out of close quarters. It's not like you want to do it every single time. I always say this. But when you find yourself in these situations, you're shielding, the other person's right there, nobody knows what's going on. Don't bother playing a game where you can't react most of the time. Roll out of there. Rolling away, usually the option that you want to choose. You can do cross-up roll as well. The only reason cross-up roll is worse is because then you wind up right in your opponent's... you're closer to your opponent afterwards, so it's easier for your opponent to, like, punish. Okay, that roll was better. I mean, this was a cross-up roll, but he still got out of the close quarter situation perfectly with this roll. Only problem was he autopiloted and did, like, a snowball down tilt right afterward, which got him hit. After the roll, collect yourself, unless you know that your opponent is, like, in cooldown by the time you reach the end of the roll. And then that mistake actually cost him the stock right here, as Atheist runs in and catches the mistech with the up B. And a lot of the projectile stuff, you know, Vantablack told me that he has trouble dealing with the projectiles. I mean, this one he just underestimated the hitbox of the bomb, I guess. But a lot of times I see him kind of just, you know, walking into the projectile, like a boomerang, for example, not really accounting for where it is. There's no really, like, tip for that. It's just, you know, you have to respect each projectile individually, deal with each projectile, make sure you have a way of getting around each projectile. Obviously, understanding the options that you do have. You can see more about that in my projectile video, how to deal with projectiles, whatever I called it. Exactly, shield the boomerang there, shield the bomb here. He keeps running back afterward. I'd like to see him running forward more, because he's just letting Atheist camp him more by running back after each one and putting himself in the corner more. Right here, he finally runs in and shield. This is a perfect opportunity. He can get a grab here. Whatever, he goes for the jump. Again, same kind of bad jump that I was talking about. He could get clipped for this, but he throws out his nair first. So, same thing. Once you're in this situation, again, referencing the run shield flowchart, this is a perfect shield grab right here. You know, Link has a great shield grab, or, you know, he has a real shield grab in this game, so definitely something he could be using. The same thing, he likes to go for this nair, like a rising nair, retreating nair after a lot of things. Like right there, I think he was going for it too, but didn't account for the boomerang. And jumps right into it. Like, even here, he could shield instead of going for this roll. Like, unless your opponent's just grabbing you all the time, a lot of times you can stay in shield when your opponent is, like, on top of you like this. Like right there, like as he was running in. He didn't even go for a grab anyway. Like, maybe that's usually a combo to a grab, but in that case you could spot dodge. Not that the roll's bad, but I feel like just a lot of times Vantablack is not really using his shield and playing close quarters well. Like, he could just be shielding a lot of things, then wait for the storm to end and find a roll out. Like there too, even he could have shielded, you know, the the back air worked out, but... See, this is what I was talking about. This is a great play. This is how you want to use your forward tilt, like on reaction. He rolls here. By the way, I haven't been pointing this out too much, but I do think that Vantablack may have a roll habit from ledge. This roll makes perfect sense because he doesn't want to get trumped and he wants to get stage control back, but that is something I've been seeing. He waits, he sees him in the air, and then he retreats and goes for the forward tilt. Now, Atheist still could have double jumped here and potentially punished this forward tilt, but this is still much better. Like, he waited and reacted and saw an opportunity rather than just kind of like guessing in one position. Again, like the nair here, instead, like just another idea, instead of like going for this nair, he can just dash back to the center of the stage, like after this boomerang, see what Atheist is going to do. Atheist does the nair in place, and then he could have ran in, pressured the landing himself, for example. He doesn't need to be forcing so many plays. Like even right here too, just jumping right into him. Like stay out of your opponent's range, let them make a mistake, and then find your opportunity. Okay, this is definitely a missed input. I just wanted to see because I wasn't sure if he was going for a boomerang. Yeah, he must be going for a boomerang. So there's no reason he would have gone for any kind of up B there. So that's whatever. And this up B here. Like right there, again, perfect opportunity to roll out. Like boom here, just roll to the right here. Gets right out of the situation. Also here too, like Link has a lot of stuff that he can do below him. He has down air, he has the bomb in his hand. This is like right here, you could also dash or roll to the left, just get the stage control and just trap the landing differently instead of putting yourself underneath all that precarious hitboxes and whatnot. Same thing here, like he's just jumping like underneath him and getting hit by nair. But like I don't understand what he expects to accomplish from this, because even if Atheist down airs, it'd be even worse for him. Like in this position, he may be trying to react here, but like you could do like at this point he could do like an up air, which would basically be a falling up air to cover things. If Atheist jumps, he gets out of the situation. If Atheist doesn't jump, he gets hit by the up air. So an up air would be good there, or like I said, run around like horizontally and avoid the landing. Same thing here, like he's not covering the retreating options from ledge. Like if you're gonna jump here, jump back so that that way you're at least like to the left of neutral getup, and then roll is like right behind you, so that way you can cover both options. Okay, gets this forward tilt, and that is the game. So we can see here again, this is one of the situations where he waits. Well, I guess he went for a roll read more so, but it's still like a play that doesn't put him in as much risk for going for it. So this is the kind of play that I've been saying he needs to do a lot more of. And game. Alright, so once again, if you guys would like to win one of these reviews for yourself, all you have to do is subscribe right here to the YouTube channel, follow @Game5Smash on Twitter, and like and retweet the tweet linked in the description, or you could take advantage of my affordable paid coaching options shown here. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to Game5Smash and turn on notifications to never miss out on more tech and tips.